Ford FE, greatest engine family ever made. Did you know that Ford FE engine family powered some of the most iconic muscle cars of all time, with engines producing up to 480 pound-feet of torque? The late 1950s and 1960s marked a pivotal era for Ford, as the company sought to dominate the world of high-performance engines. At the heart of this revolution stood the Ford FE engine family, a collection of powerhouses that redefined what a big block V8 could achieve. Join us as we dive deep into the history, design, and legacy of Ford's FE engines. A celebration of power, performance, and innovation that defined the golden age of American muscle. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Muscle Car Masters channel for more incredible automotive history and engine deep dives. Before diving into the details, let me first explain what FE stands for and its design features. The FE engine, introduced by Ford in 1958 and produced until 1976, is often believed to stand for Ford Edsel, though some sources suggest it could mean Ford engine or Ford experimental. The FE engine is a big block design and is known for its Y-block configuration, where the cylinder block extends below the crankshaft centerline, offering better rigidity and crankshaft support. The FE engine featured a wedge-shaped combustion chamber inside the cylinder heads. The distributor was mounted at the front, and the narrow cylinder heads required the intake manifolds to be integrated into the valve cover area. Push rods connected to the rocker arms, and the intake manifold also served as a valley cover, making the design both efficient and durable. This setup helped the FE engine deliver solid performance over its long production run. .332. The 332 V8, introduced in the late 1950s, was one of the first engines in the greatest Ford FE engines, marking a significant step in the brand's shift towards high-performance powertrains. It addressed the oiling issues of the older Lincoln Y block and paved the way for more powerful engines like the 352, 390, and the legendary 427. With a bore of 3.6 inches and a stroke of 3.6 inches, the 332 V8 featured a compression ratio of 8.4 to 1, producing anywhere between 145 to 265 horsepower at 4,600 RPM and 360 pound-feet of torque at 2,800 RPM. It was capable of producing around 225 to 250 horsepower at 4,400 RPM, with torque ranging from 330 to 340 pound-feet at 2,400 RPM. The engine's cast-iron block and 4 main bearings provided improved rigidity and crankshaft support, contributing to its durability. The 332 was also part of Ford's Interceptor V8 engine line, designed for both performance and reliability. Notably, Ford switched from mechanical to hydraulic lifters halfway through 1958, enhancing engine smoothness and reducing wear. Although the 332 was only in production for a short period, it powered models like the Edsel and Fairlane, helping establish Ford's performance reputation. Despite being less powerful than its successors, it laid the foundation for the future of Ford's muscle car engines. 352. Building on the foundation laid by the 332, the 352 cubic inch V8 took Ford's performance capabilities to the next level in the early 1960s. With improved compression ratios and carburation, it delivered better power and engine efficiency. The 352 was also used in the Ford Police Interceptor, offering enhanced torque and durability for law enforcement vehicles. Its strong low-end torque and smooth high RPM power made it ideal for both everyday driving and high-stress applications. The 352 cubic inch V8 produced between 235 and 360 horsepower at 4,600 to 6,000 RPM, with up to 380 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. It had a bore of 4 inches and a stroke of 3.5 inches, with a compression ratio ranging from 8.9 to 1 to 10.2 to 1. The engine featured 5 main bearings for durability. The 352 was also used in Ford's full-size trucks, proving reliable for heavy loads while maintaining strong performance. During the muscle car era, it competed with GM and Chrysler engines for dominance in power and driving experience. The 352 helped cement Ford's reputation in the muscle car era and contributed to the development of iconic models like the Thunderbird and Galaxy. Its legacy remains appreciated by classic car enthusiasts today. 361. Following the success of the 352, the Ford 361 cubic-inch V8 further enhanced the craziest Ford FE engines lineup, offering a powerful and efficient alternative. The Ford 361 cubic-inch V8 delivered 303 horsepower at 4,600 RPM and 390 pound-feet of torque at 2,400 RPM. With a bore of 405 inches, a stroke of 3.5 inches, and a compression ratio ranging from 9.6 to 1 to 10.5 to 1, it offered a balance of power and efficiency. It was equipped with 5 main bearings and a Holley 4-barrel model for better fuel delivery. Produced from 1958 to 1959, the 361 V8 was used primarily in Edsel models like the Ranger, Pacer. In 1959, it earned the Super Express V8 designation. Its cast-iron block and heads ensured reliability and durability. The engine was popular in full-sized Ford and Edsel vehicles, known for its smooth operation and strong low-end torque, making it ideal for various applications, including heavier-duty tasks. 390. Following the 361 V8, the 390 cubic-inch V8 was introduced in 1961, becoming a cornerstone of Ford's engine lineup, delivering 265 to 410 horsepower at 4,400 RPM and 430 pound-feet of torque at 3,500 RPM. With a bore of 405 inches and a stroke of 3.78 inches, its compression ratio ranged from 8.9 to 1 to 11 to 1, supported by 5 main bearings. Produced from 1961 to 1971 in cars and until 1976 in trucks, the 390 was the most common FE engine Ford made. Available with a 2-barrel carburetor for base models or a 4-barrel for performance variants, high-performance versions, such as those with a tri-power setup, produced up to 401 horsepower. The 390 marked the end of Ford's first FE generation and the beginning of the second with a redesigned block for larger bores. Its durability, ease of maintenance, and widespread use made it a key engine in both performance and everyday vehicles. 406. After the success of the 361, Ford took performance to the next level with the introduction of the 406 cubic-inch V8. The 406 engine was produced from 1962 to 1963, not until 1964. It featured an aluminum dual-plane intake manifold paired with a single Holley 4-barrel carburetor rated at 600 CFM, or the G-code version with 3 2-barrel Holley carburetors producing 840 CFM. The engine generated between 385 and 405 horsepower at 5,800 RPM and up to 448 pound-feet of torque at 3,500 RPM. With a bore of 4.13 inches and a stroke of 3.78 inches, its compression ratio ranged from 11.4 to 1, supported by 5 main bearings. Produced from 1962 to 1964, the 406 became synonymous with high-performance Ford vehicles, especially the Ford Galaxy, and played a key role in Ford's total performance era. The engine's solid lifters boosted reliability and high RPM power, making it a favorite among enthusiasts and racers. Though it was eventually replaced by the 427, the 406 laid the foundation for Ford's future V8 innovations. .410. Now, move next to version 410. The 410 cubic inch V8 was introduced by Ford in 1966 and remained in production until 1967. This engine delivered 330 horsepower at 4,600 RPM and 444 pound-feet of torque at 2,800 RPM, with a bore of 4.05 inches and a stroke of 3.98 inches. Its compression ratio ranged from 10.5 to 12 to 1, primarily found in Mercury models such as the Monterey and Park Lane. The 410 V8 played an important role in Ford's engine lineup during the mid-1960s. It's crucial to distinguish this engine from the 410 cubic inch ME engine, which comes from the MEL engine family, not the FE family. The two are designed differently and have non-interchangeable parts. Despite its short production run of just 2 years, the 410 V8 remains a rare and valuable piece of Ford's engineering history. Its power output and design contributed to the development of larger engines for future Mercury and Ford models, cementing its legacy in the performance engine world. .427. Following the 406, greatest Ford FE engines introduced the 427 V8 in 1963, which took performance to an entirely new level. Ford introduced the legendary 427 cubic inch V8 in 1963, known for its power and advanced engineering. Although its true displacement was 425.9 cubic inches, Ford rounded it up to 427 for marketing. The 7-liter engine was the maximum allowed by race organizations at the time. Built with a cast iron block and reinforced deck, it could withstand high compression. Initially using solid lifters, it switched to hydraulic lifters in 1968 for smoother operation. In 1965, Ford introduced the side oiler version for better oil distribution and lubrication, producing 390 to 425 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. The 427 was designed for speed, with a 3.78-inch bore and 4.24-inch stroke. The engine was used in racing, including Le Mans, where it helped Ford achieve iconic victories. The 427 SOHC version, introduced in 1964, offered even higher performance, but was banned from NASCAR. Today, the 427 FE engine remains one of Ford's most sought-after engines, still available as a crate engine for enthusiasts and collectors. .427 Cammer. The Ford 427 SOHC Cammer is considered one of the most iconic engines in Ford's history, developed in just 90 days to rival Chrysler's 426 Hemi. With a displacement of 427 cubic inches, it produced around 616 horsepower at 7,000 RPM and 515 pound-feet of torque at 3,800 RPM with a single 4-barrel carburetor. When fitted with dual 4-barrel carburetors, output increased to about 657 horsepower at 7,500 RPM and 575 pound-feet of torque at 4,200 RPM. The engine featured hemispherical combustion chambers and utilized a timing chain for the camshafts, not roller chain-driven rocker arms as initially suggested. This innovative design enabled the engine to excel at high RPMs, securing its place as one of the most powerful engines of its time. Banned by NASCAR for being a race-only engine.
That was a lot of money in '63.
Right. So Donald Byrd, who was my roommate, the great trumpet player who actually discovered me, he said, by the way, there's an American car that's been beating the Ferraris.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'll go down and look at it. I just want to see what it looks like.
The camera's design included cross-bolted main bearing caps for added durability, and it was hand-built, with fewer than 500 units produced. The cast-iron heads could be swapped for aluminum heads, and the oiling system was revised from top oiler to side oiler for improved lubrication. Modifications like a forged steel crankshaft were introduced by 1967 to enhance performance. Despite its high production costs with $2,300 per engine and scarcity, the 427 Cammer remains a legendary collector's item, prized for its racing pedigree. Its limited production, combined with its association with NASCAR and drag racing, solidifies its status as one of Ford's most iconic engines. 1968 to 1970. 428 Cobra Jet V8. The 428 Cobra Jet, introduced in 1968, quickly became a legend after Hot Rod dubbed it the fastest-running pure stock in the history of man. A high-performance variant of the 428, the CJ featured revised heads similar to the Ford 427 low riser, larger ports, a 390 GT camshaft, a cast-iron copy of the 428 Police Interceptor intake manifold, and a 735 CFM Holley 4-barrel carburetor. For the 1968 and a half model year, all Cobra Jets were coded R in the 5th VIN digit and came with ram air intake, featuring an air cleaner and flapper assembly beneath the hood, allowing cold air to the carburetor. In 1969, the base Cobra Jet was coded Q, while the CJR with ram air retained the R code. Mustangs with the R engine code featured a shaker scoop that protruded through the hood, while other Ford and Mercury 428 CJRs had an underhood ram air setup. Super Cobra Jets didn't have a unique engine code, but they required a 391-to-1 traction lock or a 430-to-1 Detroit locker axle. By 1970, the 428 Cobra Jet was phased out of mid-sized models, replaced by the 429 CJ in the Ford Torino and Mercury Cyclone, but continued in the Mustang and Mercury Cougar, with drag packs converting the CJ to an SCJ for racing. 1969 to 1974 28 Super Cobra Jet. The 428 Super Cobra Jet, introduced in 1969, was a high-performance variant of the 428 Cobra Jet. It featured stronger internal components like cap screw rods and a larger oil pump for better lubrication at high RPMs. The SCJ produced 440 pound-feet of torque at 3,400 RPM and 335 to 360 horsepower at 5,400 RPM. The SCJ engine was exclusively available with these rear axle ratios. SCJ-powered vehicles, such as the Mustang Mach-1, Cougar, Torino, dominated NHRA drag racing in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Though replaced by the 385 series engines in the mid-1970s, the SCJ's legacy continued. In 2008, Ford revived the Cobra Jet name with a new Mustang Cobra Jet for drag racing, equipped with a 5.4-liter V8 engine, carrying on the iconic performance legacy. That wraps up our look at the greatest Ford FE engines and why it's often considered one of the greatest ever made. If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Muscle Car Masters channel for more fascinating automotive content. Which Ford FE engine blew your mind the most? Or maybe I missed a key detail about these legendary engines. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what makes the FE engine family stand out in automotive history.